Hi everyone, welcome to Wellness Curated. Today we have a chat for you on kinesiology and how it affects the gut and immunity. And I have today Dr. Sepp Fegerl, who is a general physician living and working in Salzburg in Austria, and he's trained in Modern Mayr Medicine, and he uses it with a fusion of allopathic and holistic medical disciplines and techniques. He actually grew up in the Mayr methodology because his father is also a Mayr doctor, and he was at Viva Mayr Al-Thawzi, and he now teaches Mayr doctors, and he set up his own clinic in Salzburg. Applied kinesiology is muscle testing, and it gives you an accurate picture of what's going on inside your system at the moment. Welcome to the chat.
Welcome. Great to see you. Fantastic to be with you, Anshu.
Very good to see you. I will start, as you know, the topic is kinesiology and how it affects the gut and immunity, which has now become so important. Again, you know, immunity, as you know, because the UK has gone completely crazy at the moment with the new variant. So tell me something. We'll begin with my question, which I always ask. In the context of where we are today, what is going on in the world, again, what is wellness to you?
That's a big question and very important. And of course, something that is always answered very individual because subjectively. But for me, in my daily routine, and especially in times like that, I experience wellness to be this feeling of integrity, the feeling that I'm still in control and in liberty of action, of choice, of decision-making project aspects in my life, in my routine. Another thing that I find to be essential is whenever I move, whenever I act, whenever I perform, I want my body and also my mind to execute that according to my will.
Right.
And that if my body is sending me or making me sense a feedback that is reminding me, okay, it would be necessary to either take care of this or take care of that, that I then also have space and time and also capacity enough to then take care of myself as well.
Wonderful. So tell me, can you explain to us exactly what is kinesiology?
The functional myodiagnostic or applied kinesiology is a kind of a diagnostic technique that is just giving us an insight of a moment or of a moment in the life of a client and of course also into the life of a therapist as well. It is trying to identify stress factors either internally or externally that are putting a person into a state of either hypertension, hyperactivity, like an angry child or the green Hulk, you can imagine, or that is putting a person into the state of a victim, where there is all the energy literally seems to flow out of the body. Or what are the factors that are allowing a person to feel integral, to feel captain or commander of his or her state of strength. And this is where the functional muscle testing is coming in. We use, therefore, as the tool for the diagnostic, the performance of single muscles. And therefore, the client sometimes has to act and perform in a very weird way lying on the bed or standing in the room, because we always try to bring an extremity in a certain position so that once the extremity is then moved, it is only moving by the help and the force and the strength of a single muscle. And if I combine that with activating the senses of this testant with special substances, with foods, for example, with trace elements, with metals, etc., the muscle is changing its performance, its state of strength. And that is interesting to know.
So can you, I know since it's just you, you're not going to be able to demonstrate to us, but can you talk us through what you do? So because I know you use the legs, some people use the arm movement. So just explain to us the process.
It is very important to take this testing serious. It is a testing situation as well, and I can of course fool and convince someone to be either strong or to be weak, and that is not my ambition. People are coming to me because they want to receive them either pharmaceutical or a medical or therapeutical strategy pathway to recover or to generate health. Okay. So they will only come back if they are treated well and they are experiencing success. So I want to be this testing a proper tool. Therefore, if I fake it, the result will not be as good as it could be. So I need to be honest with the situation and as neutral as possible. Therefore, I place also the client. I inform him or her about what he or she is going to expect. I place them normally on the bed, and then I'm using and testing different extremities on different sides. So I place the extremities in a special way.
When you say extremities, can you explain that?
An arm, for example, or a leg. Yeah. If someone is bending his or her leg 90% in the 90 degree in the knee, for example, and pushing then the knee towards the nose, this performance and this movement is done and executed just by the performance of a single muscle, the pars medialis of the musculus rectus femoris. And this muscle is representing a certain organ. That is interesting, but for now, in the beginning, it is not so relevant. I just want to see if the extremities of the person are able to be moved, if this person is able to move in a special strength, if this person is able to move the extremities in maximum strength, because this is the only parameter that I want to sense. I want to sense the strength this person is able to perform in this moment with this arm or leg, for example. And if I see differences between left or right side, for example, that is telling me something about, okay, there might be an irritation on the left side or on the right side. And then I'm starting to applicate or to trigger the person with different acupuncture points, for example, with different pressure points or touching meridians, so that I bring in the topic of different organs.
You test them without anything in their hand first?
No, initially just plain the body. Because if someone is suffering from hip pain, you can imagine this person will not be able to perform very well with a leg test. Right. So I want to find out if this person is able to move the arms free. Or if there's a limitation, I want to see, is it working on the other side as well, for example. And subtext of that is then, of course, with every performance that shows not a symmetric but asymmetric result, that is giving me already diagnostic information that can be then poured into a therapeutic strategy. But initially, I just want to test the person. I want to see, is there a warrior lying in front of me, or is there a victim? Or is the person in full strength able also to relax?
So just to explain to the people who have not had kinesiology before, say you're testing for a gluten allergy. You would put a little bit of gluten in their tongue, and then you would test their muscle to see if it's affected from before you'd put the gluten or not.
Exactly. You explained it very well. There's one little detail that I forgot to mention.
Yes.
It is always interesting and important to see that the muscle is able to perform at its maximum strength. That is the aim. But it is also important to be able to reduce, to weaken the muscle.
Yes.
So as if I will press either an acupuncture point, or I use the classical and very physiological way of shortening the length of the muscle to make it perform weak for a matter of 1 or 2 seconds. This is muscle only knows about its state of strength by measuring its length. And if I make muscle sense shortness, the muscle cell itself considers its actual state to be already a state of relaxation, a state of weakness. It is not able for 1 to 2 seconds to be activated just by willpower. And this is something that I'm using in the testing, just to recheck if a person is now entering a state of warrior or again hard performance, where it is just upset and always strong, always as strong as possible, but not following my invitation to now please relax.
So just to summarize, there are three stages to kinesiology. The first is to test without an outside substance. The second is to test with the substance. And the third is to weaken a muscle while you've got the substance to make sure that you can also relax with it, that you're not in a mode of constant fight or flight.
Exactly.
Now, coming to the organs that you had mentioned, and I've seen you do this, I've seen you testing different organs with substances and without for kinesiology. So you would test the heart, you test the liver. Can you explain what you do there and what that gives you, the result that that gives you?
This idea that an organ is somehow connected with meridians, that means lines of energies, or maybe also crossways of energy, of meridians on the body, is a very old theory. You find it in the traditional Chinese medicine, as well as you find it also in the Persian medicine or the traditional European medicine. You find it in shamanism as well. So the observation of healers, of therapists over many hundred years was that there are some points on the body that are related to an inner organ or an inner organ state. And so if I attract and use such an acupuncture point, for example, like the liver, and the person who is in a state of normal tension, that means able to perform, but also able to follow my recommendation to rest and relax suddenly, if we now attract this acupuncture point, and this person is turning into a warrior, someone who is not able to give in anymore. And if this point is, for example, typically the thyroid, in a man or in a woman living in a mega city where the life is the pace is enormously and the pressure as well, and the thyroid is a pacemaking organ. And if this person is suddenly experiencing, there's such a performance there, and I attract then the sense of this person, like the tongue, with a little bit of selenium. It could be that all the pressure, all the tension is suddenly gone, and clear strength is performing and happening and following, and also clear state of relaxation is possible. Whereas if I then put a little bit of caffeine on this tongue, just to represent acceleration, and I'm normally not telling my client what I put on his or her tongue, so that his mind is free and not expecting something. As well as I also try to be as open as possible, not to have a predecision, for example.
Right.
But if I put then a little bit of caffeine on this tongue and push it, and the person is, without touching the thyroid, performing strong, but touching the thyroid, suddenly performing massively weak, that's also a very valuable information and signal to the person. So I will recommend that, or would recommend that this person, for example, to take a little bit of selenium, not for the rest of his or her life, but for some time, that we are also controlling the performance of the muscle testing again, choosing the selenium as choosing the thyroid as to be one of those trigger points that are causing or living at the moment as a state of stress. And I will also give a recommendation, please be careful with the coffee. That now sounds not like rocket science, and you are completely right, because it is not rocket science. It is just when someone is spending time with me, he or she wants to receive advice. And the advice from the neighbor, the advice from the partner, the nice advice from the parents, the advice from the children, and then what he or she was reading in the magazine was not solving the problem for them. They want something individual. And therefore, the testing is a fantastic tool. It's definitely not the holy grail of medicine, but it is a fantastic tool to picture the moment.
I know that you were with Viva Mayr for 7 years. And before that, you must have been testing, and you probably teach kinesiology to the Mayr doctors. So
Mhm.
you have a lot of experience with this. When is it that you've been really surprised? Have you ever been really surprised by your findings?
Look, there's no day that is not leaving me completely, no testing that is not leaving me at one aspect completely puzzled and surprised. Because I, of course, try to be as neutral as possible when I'm testing, but with the experience, there comes very often in kind of an expectation. And
Right.
if in this test suddenly an expectation is not coming true, but is telling me something complete adverse,
Mm-hmm.
I always have to be very honest with myself that I say, okay, I allow this now result the space to most likely be really correct and true, and not I try to force it into the way I exposed it, I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
If I then allow this result to be correct, my experience proved it to be the better decision because you treated them differently and suddenly this person is experiencing success. And my inbox is full of emails like that, for
So
example.
give me an example.
I have a person here that was with me in the last 2 weeks. He is a very senior person in a worldwide industrial concern
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of responsibility, with a lot of pressure, and he wanted to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look, people are visiting the gut doctor because they want to lose weight and get rid
Yeah.
of the bloating. So, okay, and I tested this person and we went through a few things, and nothing came out to be massively out of balance.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, look, I'm with you and you are telling me everything is all right. So I said, look, let us have a look on the different foods. And there was suddenly one thing that seemed to be a problem, and that was the yogurt of the sheep. And he
Right.
looked at me and said, look, how do you know? Did I
Mm.
mention the sheep? I said, no, I have no idea. He was eating every day in the morning a little bit of sheep yogurt. So I asked him, okay, look, please, now take this sheep yogurt away because it is making you react very weak, and that is remarkable. Chew very well, drink between the meals, the whole Mayr medicine
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
recommendations, the general ones, and we see each other again in 2 weeks' time. Look, he lost in those 2 weeks 6 kilograms of weight. All the
Oh my God.
inflammation, all the inflammation was going, was falling apart. He is now not living the ideal way of life and he's not feeling like a god, but he was able to get rid of a massive pro-inflammatory trigger of inflammation in his daily routine, and that is leaving him experience more strength and more, again, freedom of choice when it comes to where do I want my energy to be invested into.
Right.
If he is now saying he will always ban the yogurt for the rest of his life out of his daily routine, that is not a recommendation that I will give, but I will then recommend, okay, please for now 3 to 4 months, avoid it completely, and then maybe reintroduce it on one day and just experience of how you feel that particular day, or maybe the day after as well.
Wonderful. That's an incredible story. 6 kilos and oh wow. That sounds amazing.
This person was not massively overweight. That was
Mm-hmm.
someone who, if you see him on the street, you would think, pretty fit guy, yeah. But there was we've looked at from the point of view of a Mayr physician, you saw already signs for inflammation. And
Mm.
inflammation is always coming with swelling, with water retention.
Ah, I see. Um, the thing I wanted to ask you is, I mean, kinesiology is a whole way of testing. Does
Mhm.
it replace other tests?
From my point of view, not completely. It is definitely a diagnostic tool that I value very much, a diagnostic tool that I'm executing and working with all my clients or most of my clients, from the very young ones till the very old ones. And if someone is not able to perform him or herself, like a 6-month-old baby, for example, using kind of a surrogate test as well. And that is leading to very good results as well. But I'm a physician, I'm a trained general practitioner. So if the result of the kinesiological testing is pointing me in one direction, I'm saying, look, we are testing now in your blood, for example, the hormones, but I now know which part of the hormonal activity I want this blood to be tested for. Or if someone is showing a very strong reaction on a special food, I say, look, why don't we make a blood testing as well? Yeah, just to prove that it is not just the recommendation of a weird Austrian physician that was doing hocus pocus on you,
Right.
but that you have something in your hands to be tested for. I was working with an Australian businessman. He runs a few restaurants in Austria, and he was very skeptical with my recommendation after this testing and for the food testing, because it was very particular. And so we did the blood test as well afterwards. To my relief, it was right, and that was good. Yeah.
Fabulous. And tell me, what scientific research has been done? Can you tell us, about some papers or something which shows that I know kinesiology works because I've had that done as well as blood tests, and they've matched. But for people listening in who think it's hocus pocus,
as it is the barrier for someone to test another person with the functional muscle testing is very low. You can imagine that it is very quickly executed and very often used, and sometimes also abused, because it is, of course, a strong argument for a practitioner or for a therapist to recommend you to buy something or to now do something if this person is suddenly feeling massive weakness. And if you're not careful with the execution of the testing, and you are not testing it with a massive sense of understanding of how complex the body works and how complex, for example, the environmental conditions have to be optimum for an enzyme to work. You're just giving one, for example, cofactor of an enzyme to now perform better, to break down, for example, lactate. You are missing something. So it is the experience and also the knowledge that makes applied kinesiology testing to be a proper tool. There is in the US existing a college for applied kinesiology. It's not a university, and of course, there are ongoingly trials and scientific data produced and also published. With every paper that you produce, with every statistic that you create and trial that you are making, you are inviting, of course, also others to discuss then the result.
right?
And you can, and those results are discussed a lot. The surveillance is discussed a lot. There is, I can only say, as a physician, I promised that I will never harm someone. And not only that, I promised also, and pray, and swore on the Hippocratic Ed, that I will improve someone else's state of health. That is the aim.
Lovely. That is
Yeah.
absolutely lovely. And do you have any other advice for people who are going to be listening to this chat?
Yeah, please, even if you don't have access to someone who is guiding you, doing an applied kinesiology testing with you, please trust your gut feeling. Gut feeling, not necessarily the intestine, but your instincts. Your instincts are trying to assist you in making the right decisions to stay healthy, to stay integral, to stay on the safe side. And if you have in the back of the head something telling you, look, it would be better to run, yeah, or just to resist, or to avoid it, there is a massive organism that is talking with you and in dialogue with your sense of awareness at that moment. And following this advice is always valuable, is always good. even if the advice seems on the first view and initially a little bit curious, yeah, or weird. Trust it and see where it brings you to.
So you're
Thank
saying
you.
trust your instincts. You know best about yourself.
In most cases, yes, that is correct.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anshu. Thank you for hosting me. Thank you also for your patience, the patience of yours and your audience, listening to someone who is not fluent in English. And I would be more than happy if there are questions that people are contacting me, sharing their questions with me, and I will do my best to answer them as good as possible.
Wonderful. I'm going to put your contact details so people can contact you. And that was Dr. Sepp Bodo, who's trained in Modern Mayr Medicine, and he's also a GP. And this is Anshu Bahanda from Wellness Curated.